Welcome to part 3 of the curl predictability series, and today we're talking about protein and hydration in terms of your routine. Most people jump to routines right away or more products when they find things that they don't like about their curls, and like I talked about in my first and second episode, there are factors that goes into how the hair communicates with you and responds to you. So the most important thing is that you want to diagnose your hair and see what your hair exactly needs instead of like copying another routine or seeing what somebody else does. Like I talked about in my first and second episode, if you want to check that out, there are 3 factors that go into forming a curl into the hair strand. The first factor is protein, the second is flexibility, it's moisture, which is flexibility, and the third is the environment that your hair interacts with, which like humidity, being cold, being hot, all of these things, friction. So today I'm going to talk about protein and hydration and how to know what your hair lacking, because most of the time you will have a curl routine that works for a while, okay, and that happens to me, and like it happened to me actually a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to still figure out what my hair needs, which inspired this whole series. So your hair, for protein and hydration, like I talked about in my second episode, protein gives the curl structure, it gives it bounce, it's what forms the coil. Hydration gives it flexibility and movement, so it's not stiff. So now knowing this, it'll give you a clearer picture on how to diagnose what your hair needs. There are a few ways to go about it, and sometimes symptoms overlap too, so I will talk about all this today. So in terms of diagnosing your hair and knowing what it needs to balance itself, a lot of the time, I'm very guilty of this. Like anytime my routine is not working, whether it's for my skincare, whether it's for my hair or anything like that, I kind of forget what I even know and go and try and find another products or go, look at other tutorials. A lot of the times it's just some little like thing that we need to fix in terms of what the hair needs, and I think same for skin, but I'm going to talk about hair for now. How to diagnose your hair if it needs more protein or more moisture. For protein, you want to take your hair strand, and to know that it's balanced, you want to take it, you want to stretch it. If your hair strand goes back to your original curl pattern after stretching it, usually means your hair is balanced between protein and hydration. If your hair snaps, that means it needs more moisture, which means it's losing the flexibility. If your hair stretches and just doesn't do anything, it doesn't go back to your curl pattern, that means it needs more protein. Because with protein, like I said before, it gives your hair structure, it gives it the curl pattern, it gives it strength. For your moisture, that gives it flexibility, that's when the curl kind of moves and kind of like do its own thing. You need, as I said, both of them together. Also in terms of hair porosity, that's a big factor as well. Usually there are like low porosity, medium porosity, and high porosity. With high porosity hair, which is my hair, it usually will absorb water quickly and it will dry quickly, so it'll get it out quickly, so it doesn't keep moisture in, but it's easy for my hair to absorb moisture immediately. That's why it'll get wet quickly and it will kind of dry it out quickly. Now if my hair did that and it's kind of like felt mushy when it was doing that, that means also it needs more protein. For low porosity hair, your hair, you'll kind of like put water on your hair and you'll feel like the water is just sitting on your strand, is not really absorbing. It'll take forever to absorb, so you need a lot more moisture than someone with high porosity hair. That really matters in terms of how you balance your treatments. And also that means, you know, your hair will, once the moisture in, it'll keep it, which is why it takes forever to dry low porosity hair. Another factor too is product buildup and the metals from water. That's really huge in terms of how the curl responds, which is why always, and I'll talk about my recommendation and what I think you need to balance your hair in my next episode. But that's really important to clarify your hair. I always say this to my clients, to use a clarifying shampoo at least once or twice a month. I actually use it every week and my hair is fine, but you know, you do what works for your hair. Product buildup is huge in terms of hydration and moisture balance, because if the hair is not clean from the products or the metals from your shower, it's gonna kind of coat your strand. So whatever you're putting on it for your treatments is basically just not gonna be absorbed into the strand, so it's just gonna stay there. In my next episode, I'm gonna go in details about what you need to balance your hair. If your hair lacks protein or moisture, what are products that I like that I use, how many times you need to do it, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in today to my third episode. I'll see you next time.